This is Land of Havilah, Jeremiah 6. So far in the prophecy, a destroyer of nations will come from the north. It's the Babylonians and their vassal nations, their allies, coming to attack. It came to pass in Jeremiah's lifetime. According to the prophecy, the invaders will make the land desolate, lay waste the cities, and leave the land without inhabitant. But no one's listening. False prophets control the narrative. They spread a falsehood that nothing bad will happen. They're not concerned with Jeremiah's prophecies. Now Yahweh says, verse 1, "Flee for safety, you children of Benjamin, out of the middle of Jerusalem. Blow the trumpet in Tekoa and raise up a signal on Beth Hakkerem, for evil looks out from the north with a great destruction." Comment in verse 1, the destruction will come from the north, as Yahweh said before. Blow the trumpet and raise up signal flags in all the land, such as in Tekoa and Beth Hakkerem, which is just to mention a couple of places in Judah, to indicate that the alarm will be throughout Judah. The trumpets and flags signal that foreign troops are approaching. When those signals go forth, there will be no choice but to flee to the fortified cities and lock themselves inside. Yahweh says, verse 2, "I'll cut off the beautiful and delicate one, the daughter of Zion." Comment, Yahweh will cut off Jerusalem. He'll destroy the city. She's beautiful, but don't think he won't cut her off. She's delicate, which is to say she's defenseless. Verse 3, "Shepherds with their flocks will come to her. They'll pitch their tents against her all around. They'll feed everyone in his place." Comment in verse 3, "Shepherds with their flocks will come to Jerusalem and pitch their tents against her," which means foreign troops and leaders will pitch their tents around the city. They'll be as numerous as an assembly of flocks. They'll live in their camps and feed themselves there, eating the sustenance of the land, while meantime the cities starve. Verse 4. "Prepare war against her. Arise, let's go up at noon. Woe to us, for the day declines, for the shadows of the evening are stretched out." Comment in verse 4, the invasion was scheduled for noon, but it's already late in the afternoon, which means the invasion is overdue. It's imminent. Woe to us, they say. As the shadows of the day are getting longer, the invaders say to themselves, verse 5, "Arise, let's go up by night and let's destroy her palaces." For Yahweh of armies said, "Cut down trees and cast up a mound against Jerusalem." Comment, according to verses 4 to 6, there will be no security day or night during the siege. The armies could break through any time. In anticipation of the end, there will be a terror around the clock. The besieging armies will cut down trees and cast up a mound, which means they'll construct siege works and ramps by which they can batter the walls or climb over the walls. Now more about Jerusalem's guilt, verse 6. "This is the city to be visited. She's wholly oppression within herself. As a well produces its waters, so she produces her wickedness. Violence and destruction is heard in her. Sickness and wounds are continually before me." Comment, Jerusalem is full of oppression, wickedness, violence, destruction, sickness, and wounds. She pours out evil like a well pours out water. Yahweh can't stand the sight of it any longer. He says, verse 8, "Be instructed, Jerusalem, lest my soul be alienated from you, lest I make you a desolation, an uninhabited land." Comment, Yahweh's leaving room that he might not go through with it. It's possible Jerusalem could repent. Be instructed, he says, lest I make you a desolation. Verse 9, Yahweh of armies says, "They will thoroughly glean the remnant of Israel like a vine. Turn again your hand as a grape gatherer into the baskets." Comment, they'll thoroughly glean the remnant of Israel like gleaning a vine. About there being only a remnant left in Israel, the situation currently is that Judah, Benjamin, and a smattering from the other tribes are all that remains of the original Israel. Even that remnant has been depleted. As Isaiah said about 100 years previously, foreign invaders attacked and left just a very small population, Isaiah 1, 7-9. The remaining are only a remnant of the remnant. Therefore, in verse 9 we just read, Judah is like a vineyard that's already been harvested. After the harvest comes the gleaning in verse 9, which means the remnant will be cut even further. To glean the vines is to gather up the few remaining grapes that were missed. It's to remove what little is left. Yahweh will remove what little is left of Judah. He commands the gleaners to keep working. He'll thoroughly remove what's left of Judah. The Babylonian invasion will finish them off. Verse 10. To whom should I speak and testify that they may hear? Behold, their ear is uncircumcised, and they can't listen. Behold, Yahweh's word has become a reproach to them. They have no delight in it. Comment, there's no one left for Yahweh to talk to because nobody listens. Yahweh's word is a reproach to them, meaning they have an aversion to hearing it. His word irritates them. It grates on them. Yahweh says of himself, verse 11, Therefore I'm full of Yahweh's wrath. I'm weary with holding it in. Pour it out on the children in the street and on the assembly of young men together. For even the husband with the wife will be taken, the aged with him who's full of days. Their houses will be turned to others, their fields and their wives together. For I'll stretch out my hand on the inhabitants of the land, says Yahweh. For from their least even to their greatest, everyone is given to covetousness. From the prophet even to the priest, everyone deals falsely. Comment verses 11 to 13, Yahweh will pour out his wrath indiscriminately on all Judah, be they aged, youth, husband, and wife, it doesn't matter. He'll give their houses, fields, and wives to others. It'll be a complete disruption of life as they know it. He won't spare because everyone from the least to the greatest is covetous and deals falsely. Verse 14. They've healed also the hurt of my people superficially, saying, Peace, peace, when there is no peace. Comment, they've been hurt by calamities already. The false prophets put a Band-Aid on the hurt by saying everything will be okay. It was a superficial healing of their wounds. Verse 15. Were they ashamed when they had committed abomination? No, they were not at all ashamed, neither could they blush. Therefore they'll fall among those who fall. When I visit them, they'll be cast down, says Yahweh. Comment, they have no shame, therefore Yahweh will cast them down. Verse 16. Yahweh says, Stand in the ways and see, and ask for the old paths. Where is the good way? And walk in it, and you'll find rest for your souls. But they said, We will not walk in it. Comment, righteousness is old-fashioned to them. They're too sophisticated for that. Moral freedom is the order of the day, just as it should be, according to them. But Yahweh advises old-fashioned righteousness. If they would practice it, they would find rest for their souls. But they say no. Yahweh says, verse 17, I set watchmen over you, saying, Listen to the sound of the trumpet. But they said, We will not listen. Comment, Yahweh set preachers and prophets among them, trumpeting the right thing, but they won't listen. Verse 18, Therefore hear, you nations, and know, congregation, what is among them. Hear, earth, behold, I'll bring evil on this people, even the fruit of their thoughts, because they've not listened to my words, and as for my law, they've rejected it. Comment in verses 18 and 19, Yahweh says, Let all the nations know how evil these people are, and let them know why I'm sending this evil on them. I'm sending it because they don't listen to me and have rejected my law. The coming evil will be the fruit of their thoughts. In other words, their evil thoughts and the practices that spring from those thoughts are bringing this evil on them. They're bringing the evil on themselves. Verse 20. To what purpose does frankincense from Sheba come to me, and the sweet cane from a far country? Your burnt offerings are not acceptable, and your sacrifices are not pleasing to me. Comment, Yahweh says, It's no use trying to appease me with offerings. You offer expensive items such as frankincense and imported sweet cane, but it's a wasted gesture. Offerings mean nothing without repentance. Verse 21. Therefore Yahweh says, Behold, I'll lay stumbling blocks before this people. Their fathers and the sons together will stumble against them. Their neighbor and his friend will perish. Comment, Yahweh will cause them to fall. He'll bring them down. Verse 22. Yahweh says, Behold, a people comes from the north country. A great nation will be stirred up from the uttermost parts of the earth. Comment, verse 22 we just read says the attack will come from the north country, from a nation stirred up from the uttermost parts of the earth. So far, this prophecy has clearly been concerning Babylon, but does the description in verse 22 really fit Babylon, that Babylon is a country to the north and from the uttermost parts of the earth? Maybe that does describe Babylon, and if we feel the description doesn't fit, maybe something's been lost in translation. The literal meaning of uttermost parts of the earth is sides of the earth, which makes that attacking nation seem a little closer, but your narrator isn't comfortable confining this prophecy just to the attack that came within Jeremiah's lifetime. There might be another attack in view here in addition to the one from Babylon, coming from another country at a later time. Speaking of the attack by a people from the north country, from the uttermost parts of the earth, be it Babylon or some other nation, verse 23. They take hold of bow and spear. They're cruel and have no mercy. Their voice roars like the sea, and they ride on horses, everyone set in array as a man to the battle against you, daughter of Zion. We've heard its report. Our hands become feeble. Anguish has taken hold of us, and pains as of a woman in labor. Don't go out into the field, nor walk by the way, for the sword of the enemy and terror are on every side. Daughter of my people, clothe yourself with sackcloth, and wallow in ashes. Mourn as for an only son, most bitter lamentation, for the destroyer will suddenly come on us. Comment in verse 23, the attacking troops are disciplined. They roar, they ride on horses, they're all set in array as one man to the battle. In verse 24, the report will arrive in Judah ahead of the invading troops. Hands will become feeble. Judah will be in a state of paralysis. In verse 26, go ahead and mourn about it because this is coming. Yahweh says to Jeremiah, verse 27, I've made you a tester of metals and a fortress among my people, that you may know and try their way. They're all grievous rebels going around to slander. They're brass and iron, all of them deal corruptly. The bellows blow fiercely, the lead is consumed in the fire. In vain they go on refining, for the wicked are not plucked away. Men will call them rejected silver because Yahweh has rejected them. Comment in verses 27 to 30, Yahweh has made Jeremiah a tester of metals, which means Yahweh gave him discernment. And he's made him a fortress among the people, which means he's made Jeremiah immune to all the prevailing deceptions. Jeremiah sees exactly what's going on. He's a rarity. In verse 28, Jeremiah has the discernment to know they're all grievous rebels and slanderers. Speaking in terms of metal, they're brass and iron. In verse 29, the people of the land try to test the metals themselves, but they don't have the knack for it. Their bellows blow fiercely. They're attempting to separate the good from the bad and truth from falsehood. They go on refining, but they're never able to pluck away the wicked. Try as they might, they have no discernment to know who's right and who's wrong. In verse 30, they'll be called rejected silver. The testers don't pass Yahweh's test. Yahweh has rejected them. Jeremiah 7 is next.